Welcome to First Impact, a weekly podcast where we talk about the 90s anime series Neon Genesis Evangelion. I'm Jordan, and with me is my co-host Old Jen. This week we watched The End of Evangelion, released on July 19th, 1997, written and directed by Hideaki Anno.
Wow, movie.
Yes, so for many, this is a potential substitute for episode 25, 26, depending on where you sort of fall on that.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it is a sort of response to certain dissatisfaction with the way the series ended, and I guess a willingness to create something that ends it in a little bit more of a what people expected,
right?
And also sort of carry across the themes and the intent of the original ending.
25 and 26. Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was still all about human instrumentality, or all of us sort of coming together. AT fields breaking down. But just, more of a battle, more big, ray imagery.
Yeah.
But basically, I think when we were talking about this off air, the word parallel, not substitute, not, sub-parallel, probably what it was.
It is.
A fleshing
for me,
out.
It feels like a fleshing out of
25
of what we saw in 25 and 26. Particularly those sort of flashes of Asuka in Unit 2's entry plug.
Yeah.
Where she was in the fetal position. Masato laying dead in a hallway.
Right.
And Ritsuko floating lifelessly in a pool of LCL. Man. Now we sort of like...
What a way to go. I'd choose that one out of the three.
Shot dead by your lover.
And floating in a pool of LCL.
Oh, okay.
Just pure angel blood. Sail me away on a river of angel blood.
So starting from the top,
right, let's do this.
Something that didn't really happen with the series. We sort of like in the show, it just launches straight into like instrumentality is happening.
Yes.
And we're going on that journey of self-discovery and self-realization of Shinji.
It was mainly Shinji.
Yeah.
I mean, it was other characters too, but it was mainly human instrumentality through Shinji's.
Yeah. This time we get the events leading up to that as if episode 24 has just happened.
Right. So he's killed
Shinji,
Kaoru.
Yeah, he's dealing with the guilt, the feelings of like that he should have died. We don't really have a conclusion to that sort of way he feels about it.
Yeah.
But then from there he's in Asuka's hospital room.
Right.
She's still catatonic.
That's right.
And he's begging her to wake up and help him.
Yeah, because he needs, she's like, call me an idiot like you do, like...
Yeah, it's like he wants to be pushed around and pushed back into the robot.
Yeah, that and probably he feels like, he deserves a bit of admonishment.
Yeah, he's looking for self-flagellation.
Yes, right, exactly.
Yeah.
And he achieves it.
Yes.
In a way, self-flagellate.
Well, he flagellates a part of him.
He flagellates his little mecha boner. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably one of the more iconic images in a movie that is just filled to the brim with.
It's all images. It's straight imagery. But like they showed the hand of Shinji, and it's got the stuff. And I was thinking, did they just? And then it happened. Then it's like, see, and then then you just turn to me and you go, yep.
This scene for me sums up, I guess, where they want Shinji in this movie, which is that he is in the dumps. He is doing things that like are sort of like violating other people's like rights as a human.
Yeah.
Like he's crossing lines. He's retreating constantly into this idea that he is worthless and pathetic, and that he does these things so he's not worthy of sort of like living.
Yeah.
Like I feel like this scene is him in a way setting himself up to be like, look at the sort of like piece of shit that I am.
Right. He's a rock bottom. All the characters sort of are. They do like a little bit of a sort of a catching up of all the characters. We see Asuka's obviously she's, in bed, out of it. Shinji's where he's at, like you just described. Ray's dead, has come back as a something.
Well, it's like the third Ray clone.
Right, the third Ray clone. We got Masato
like,
in jail, or Ritsuko in jail. Masato's, on her quest for the truth. Everyone's...
Yeah, Masato, we see her straight away. She's trying to find out, like, okay, what was Second Impact then? And she's trying to piece together what Nerve and Sele were trying to do under her sort of nose.
How did she... she just hacked into it, right?
Yeah, she's like in some sort of like server room.
Yeah.
Like trying to like look into the files that have been hidden away from her.
Yeah.
Ray, I think that what's going on with her is she's sort of like coming to terms with like what she is as this sort of like offspring of Lilith. Very much sort of like a parallel to Kaoru sort of being a very human-like angel.
Yeah.
Born from Adam. Rey seems to be undergoing this realization that she is a human form creation of Lilith.
Yeah.
And they're very much playing off that idea that like her desire to fulfill the role of like Gendo's puppet is deteriorating over the course of this movie.
Yeah, right. Well, we see it right at the very end, just to skip way ahead before we go any further. At the end, where Gendo shoves his arm in her, to sort of join Adam and Lilith finally, because Adam's in his hand, the embryo version.
Into his hand.
She's like, she rejects, and she's like, "No, I'm not your puppet."
Yeah, and I think we get the foreshadowing of that moment at the very start, where she wakes up in her room, and she gets dressed, and as she leaves, we see Gendo's glasses. She's broken them and left them on the floor.
Yeah, that's right.
So like that's her like. She's finally discarded Gendo. Right. And that's something we've noticed from the third Rey clone.
Yes.
Ever since she woke up and she looked at Gendo's glasses and they meant nothing to her.
Yeah.
That's sort of something that only the second Rey felt.
Right.
The kindness of Gendo.
Yeah.
His willingness to put others before him.
Yeah.
All the other Reys, I guess, have experienced a sort of the cold Gendo. The very pragmatic, using everyone.
Right. But we get actually an insight into Gendo as well, because he's saying to Yui, or that ghost of Yui, whatever.
Oh yeah, when he's like kicks back and
he just
like,
kicks back on the
ground. I did it.
Yeah, he's just got his hands behind. He's saying, "Yeah, well, human instrumentality done. What next?" Yeah, he's just kicking back, and he sort of goes into a little bit of why he rejects everyone, because he says, he doesn't think he deserved to be loved.
Yeah, he does show on the climax of Third Impact his remorse for the way that he was with Shinji.
Right.
That like he understands that he was terrible to Shinji, and he wonders like, did he hate him, sort of thing, and comes to this idea that he pushed everyone away because he himself was afraid of the invisible bonds that form between people.
And isn't it funny that because his whole deal was breaking down the AT fields, breaking down the barriers between people, and he put more barriers between him and others more than anyone, really.
Yeah, and that he was willing to destroy all the barriers that separate everyone for the sake of this one bond that he had with Yui. And I think it's very telling of the sort of character he is, that like ultimately like this very like extreme romantic.
Right.
That this idea that Yui is the only one for him, and that he would destroy the world to return to her side. And yet, I think that's a delusion of his own making.
Oh, yeah.
Like that ultimately, like he wanted instrumentality, and being back with Yui was like the thing that he had given himself to drive him. Yeah. That he's doing it for love. But in reality, I think what we see is that he is afraid of having those connections, and he does hold everyone at a distance, including his, lovers that he has post Yui, Ritsuko and her mother.
That's right. I forgot that he had both Ritsuko women.
Yeah, he holds them at a distance. He has obvious sexual relationships with them and holds them away emotionally. Yeah. That they're basically just mistresses that he goes and visits. And drives both of them to the original Dr. Akagi to suicide after her jealousy with over the first Rey. That's right. Gets the better of her, and she strangles her. Yeah. And she's like, knows what she's sort of fucking done. Right. Yeah. And she kills herself. Yeah.
And then the younger Ritsuko.
Yeah, like she's gonna burn it all down at the end. Yeah. Because of being sort of passed over for what she calls like Rey as a puppet. Right. That she was passed over for a puppet. Some parallels between Asuka in a way.
A whole lot of puppetry going on. Yeah. A whole lot of puppet strings. Gendo is the puppet master.
Yeah.
But all his puppets are rejecting him. You gotta hate that.
Oh, well, I mean, Seele knows how that feels the most, having their puppet reject them.
Oh, yeah.
So the central driving force of this, the opening of the movie is Seele, they're sick of Gendo shit. Yeah. And they've launched an all-out invasion of Nerve HQ.
Yeah, they got all the units from all the different
the Ava series is complete.
That's right. Yeah.
The dummy plug-controlled S2 engine bearing horrific sadistic smile.
Yeah. Oh, dude. They're like Venus flytrap looking motherfuckers. Yeah, they're
with their wings and
yeah.
And they're sort of double-ended blades.
Wings are cool. But yeah, you have to know that you're in because all the other units are, they're individual. They've got their own looks and personalities and stuff.
Scheme. They've got a individual
but these are sort of the drones. They look the same. They got to know they're expendable, right?
So the Sele pooling all their resources. First, they try a full frontal mass hack.
Conventional. Yes, that's right.
Using all the Magi from the other Nerve headquarters.
But they've underestimated
China, America,
Germany,
all the other branches, and they're trying to hack the Magi.
They underestimated Ritsuko.
Yeah, they bring her out of jail to install a new firewall, the Type 666 defense measures.
Okay.
Yes, the imagery, it comes in thick and fast.
Yep, the textuality.
Yeah, so they successfully repel the hack, and then Ritsuko, during that sort of moment, with her access to the Magi, her mother, she installs a backdoor into it that will help her execute her plans later on.
Yep.
And she sort of has a little moment where she's like, "I'm doing this for us, Mum."
Right. Yeah.
And touches the I think it is Casper, isn't it? The one that they had to cut open to access the first time.
Yes, because that Casper is the one later when she tries to set the bomb off.
Yeah. Betrays her.
It betrays her. So yes, it was Casper.
I think Casper was her as a woman.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
So that's this is all going on. Sele's like, well, we wanted to do it the peaceful way. Now we're just going to have to kill everyone.
Right.
So they mobilize the JSDF to wipe out Nerve HQ.
So no hacking guns this time.
Yep. And it's just this massacre.
Right.
The first guy, the security guard who is defending a checkpoint and looking away from the checkpoint. And somehow a guy gets in and slides up behind him and just stabs him with a knife. All the doors open and it's just a full-on invasion force.
Right.
Everyone's being gunned down. There's some Nerve personnel trying to drag injured people to safety.
She gets shot
to bits.
Right.
And Masato is called into action. She's pulled out from where she was trying to find out what was going on.
Hacking end up.
She becomes the director of operations again.
That's right. She puts her
shifts between her two disguises.
Yes, right. She takes off her hacking ponytail and she puts it on her director of operations loosey goose hairstyle. I love just quickly how Nerve has that whole, yes, it's a scientific facility and all that stuff, but it's got that sort of organic nature. Yes, it's run by 3 supercomputers, but the Magi are also elements of a human in a way. And I like that when Masato is down in the belly, down in the depths of Nerve, hacking away. Yes, it's got all the piping and the tubing, but it feels like she's in the heart of a beast. That she's. I like the way that they've done Nerve and portrayed Nerve.
Yeah, well, we talked about this back in the episode where the one centered entirely around the angel trying to hack the Magi, and about when they take the casing off, how the sort of structure of it is very brain-like.
No, it's cool. I like the way they do that.
So Masato gets in. She straight away she's like, put Asuka in Unit 2. Even if she can't pilot it, she'll be safe there. Put her in the bottom of the lake. It's a bad hiding place, but fuck it. What else can we do? And someone get Shinji into Unit 1 because we're gonna need to we need a unit to wreck house.
Yeah, right. If you want to hide one of these pilots. If you want to put them in the last place someone would think to find, recently at least, school. None of these kids have missed how many months of class recently, it feels like?
School doesn't exist anymore.
I guess not.
Everyone moved away, remember?
Oh, that's right. Everyone's dead. Yeah. All moved away. Yeah, right.
They all got shipped off because it was getting too dangerous in Tokyo 3.
You reckon the teacher, though, is still standing at the window?
Wistfully looking stories. Out, remembering Second Impact?
Probably.
I mean, in a beautiful sort of poetic moment.
Yeah.
He was standing looking wistfully out the window talking about Second Impact and the explosion from Third Impact hit him.
And he's like, Third Impact. Oh, man, it reminds me of that time where we had Second Impact. Nowadays you kids have got Third, Oh, man, you should have seen Second.
Second Impact just killed everyone. Third Impact got weird.
Yeah. Third Impact did get weird.
Asuka sitting in the bottom of the lake.
Yeah.
They find her. They're going to kill her. They're dropping the bombs. They're getting attacking her and everything like that. And she finally has the realization that her mother was with her all along.
Right.
Inside the
Unit 2.
Unit 2.
Yeah.
And she sort of has this beautiful moment where she realizes she's invincible.
Yeah,
because
right.
she understands the AT field was a protective barrier that was always there, always protecting her. She sort of envisions it as her mother's protection over her.
Right.
So with the protection of her mother on the side, Asuka launches into basically the most unstoppable, indescribably badass sort of like fighting she has ever done in the entire series.
Well, we see almost like total synergy between pilot and unit in this.
Without going berserk.
Yeah, right, yes, yeah. She just feels, one with the unit.
I feel like mostly because of the structure of the show and all of the engagements being mostly between Shinji, Asuka, and Rei, and sort of fighting angels in really interesting sort of scenarios.
Yeah.
We never really get to see Asuka in the production model unit,
right?
Like one built for battle.
Yes, right.
We never really get her we don't get to see her shine.
No, it was more tactical sort of, all the three-way sort of fights were, okay, Shinji, you're doing this, Asuka, you can do this. It was never, you're right, full-fledged brawling.
Yeah, and now we get it.
Yes.
Asuka in all her glory, just sort of kicking ass.
Yeah.
She gets her umbilical cable 7 pretty quickly by
she's
the
like,
JSDF
screw it.
guys.
5 minutes, 9 angels, easy.
Yeah, that's 20 seconds each.
Yeah, right.
And she just starts wiping them out in like very sort of like something you would probably never see Shinji do.
No.
Where, unless he's going berserk.
Yeah.
Like just punching their face in, ripping the jaw off.
Yeah, right.
Exposed brains sort of stuff. It's a awesome fight scene. Kicks off with that entire, like the part where she lifts the ship.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
Blocks the missiles and then hurls it at the tanks.
Was there anyone in that ship?
I think it was a nerve ship as well.
Oh, okay, all right.
Oh no, wait, it might have been. It would have to be a nerve ship. Because
I don't
how
think
would the JSDF get one in there?
Yeah, I don't think there are many cruise liners in Tokyo 3.
Yeah,
not now anyway.
So they, during this whole attack, they drop a N2 mine on the Geo front.
That's right.
So
right after the long hair dude is like, what are they going to do next? N2 mines? As if. And then,
speak of the devil.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so they blow a hole like right in the top of the Geo front, which is how you get that great shot of the Ava series circling like vultures above Unit 2.
Yeah, they did feel very like animal-esque, didn't they?
You get that units. Like sort of real carrion sort of like feel when
a flock of
Asuka finally runs out of power.
Right.
They all regenerate and reactivate because they're S2 engines, and they just like launch up, land on her like a flock of birds, and just start like ripping Unit 2 apart.
And it is disturbing. It is disturbing because we've said many times that the show has done a good job of establishing by now the fact that these units are humanoid, are organic, are like an element of humanity. Because we see these flock of angels tearing at this thing, and it is like the lieutenant's reaction. It is disturbing to see. It's like,
she's just watching a feed of like a graphical display.
It's not just,
and she can see the pieces being removed.
Not just
she knows what that means.
It's not just a robot being, dismantled. It's
being ripped apart. Its intestines and things being exposed.
It's gross.
But Asuka at one point, she activates the AT field to block the attacks of the Ava series.
Yeah.
And then they shift their bladed weapons into a sort of off-brand Lance of Longinus. And it pierces the AT field because that's something we've worked out over the course of the series.
Like Lance of Longinus, but with like 2 S's at the end, It's one of
the Lance
knockoffs.
of Longinus.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
Longinus spelt completely different.
Yeah, right.
She gets like nailed in the head.
Yeah.
With this.
I thought she was a goner.
Yeah, she's like crying out in pain. You see like a little bit of like, I think it looks like she is bleeding.
Yeah, she's holding her face really tightly.
And
possibly.
So she's like, Unit 2 falls backwards and slides down.
That's right. Yeah.
Down the lance, and then they like launch up, throw a whole bunch more into her, and then come over and start pecking away.
Yeah.
And the whole time she's like writhing about because she's obviously still connected to Unit 2.
But also trying to sort of kickstart
use
the
it.
unit. Yeah.
The scene where it actually goes berserk, but she's been completely like dismembered,
right?
And so it's like she just reaches up at them.
That's right. I will kill you.
And it's like this, like I'll kill you, and it's like it's berserk. Its eyes are glowing white.
Right.
It's like jaws, like the thing that covers its mouth has like severed, so you can see its open mouth and it's screaming in unison with her. She's got her arm reached up, but like it's finally gone berserk, but it's been so like torn asunder that it can't move.
That's right.
And all she can do is like raise an arm and
like
scream at him.
Death cry,
and then they just like finish her off with all their lances. It's brutal. Like it's a brutal way to end. You know, like what up until that moment is like Asuka's return.
Yeah, right.
It's like this glorious return to form. Like not only, and it's not only her moment to shine, but like in terms of battle, but like she's freed.
Yes,
from all of the trauma of her mother.
Yeah, that's true. Which has been with her, you know, her entire life. It's as we now know, it's sort of defined her personality, her insecurities, not wanting to be a kid, wanting to be seen as an adult.
That's what we were talking about as well.
That's her defining sort of experience in life.
She has to be her own person.
Right.
She can't rely on anyone else.
She has to live alone. All that stuff.
Yeah, and that like even though she obviously had feelings for Shinji, she rejected him because Kaji, of course, is the only man for her because she's not a kid.
Right.
So why would she be interested in Shinji? Yeah. Like, she has to be interested in the man in her life.
Right.
She's
got to be an adult.
Yeah, she's just this desperate cry for, like, her own independence through adulthood.
Yeah.
And we had this, like, beautiful moment where she, like, embraces, like, the idea of her mother again.
Yeah.
And the idea of, like, having someone looking after you, watching your back.
Right.
And having your best interests
at heart.
That is
true. That's a big thing for her. Yeah, that's a big step.
It's this huge moment. And, like, in any other sort of thing, I think we'd see this, like, heroic victory. And instead...
Yeah, but no, you're right.
All of the... Everything she does is undone.
Right.
Immediately, the Ava series just, like, reactivate, and then they tear her to bits.
Right.
And she's, like, taken out of the game entirely.
Yeah, and that's sort of, don't see a whole lot more of her. Like, she doesn't do anything more...
No, not until the sort of third impact and instrumentality starts happening.
Yeah.
So leading up to this, they're trying to get Shinji into Unit 1 so that he can help.
Yeah, but he's been sort of blocked out.
Yeah, leading into that, we've got to get him and Masato. Masato's trying to get him there.
Yeah, okay.
And she's like having to drag this,
like... Literally, he's like catatonic. He's... Talking about puppets, he's like a puppet without any strings.
Yeah, he's just complete self-deprecation.
Right.
He's useless. He should die.
Yeah.
Like everything is, like he is pathetic. He alludes to what he's done to Asuka.
Yeah.
And all this other sort of business. And just how pathetic he is. And she's like, Masato's just trying to pull him along. Trying to, like, she's given him the most forceful sort of speech about not running away. And like how trying and then giving up halfway is just as bad as not even. It's even worse than not trying.
They're not trying at all. Yeah,
like you're just giving up, sort of thing, and that everyone's sort of relying on you.
Yeah. He's like, I don't care.
And she gets him there to the elevator into the cage. But unfortunately, she's shot.
Right.
And sort of on her deathbed. We talked about this back when she was consoling him about Rei, and this idea that Shinji sort of projected. I guess we sort of were thinking that she wasn't putting the moves on him.
Yeah, it was just to remind people. Yeah, it was when
it was like a bit of a bait and switch.
Yeah, she touches his hand and
he pulls away.
Shinji assumes it's like a sexual come on, and he's like, no,
well,
it's not
she
what
does
I want.
say like, the only thing I can do for you as a woman is this.
Right.
And touches him on the hand and he pulls away. And she does remark about, like, is he, like, afraid of intimacy with women sort of thing?
Yeah, or is it just me?
But, so it's, like, sort of played, I guess, a bit ambiguous there.
Right.
We didn't really fall on the side that she was.
No, I don't think she was.
But this time she definitely sort of takes the idea of, like, she kisses him, like, full-blown. And is like, that's an adult kiss. We'll do the rest when you get back. And she gives him the necklace and says, like, like, you'll promise me that you'll come back.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. She dies.
Right.
Wonders out loud to Kaji whether she did the right thing. And we get this ghostly image of Rei watches her die.
Yeah.
Shinji goes down into the cage. The JSDF have put the bakelite stuff all over it, which Nerve had been using to try and seal off sections to protect themselves.
It's like an industrial... What is it?
It's that hardening gel that they use to contain the Evangelions.
Oh, that's right, when they go berserk. Yeah,
so they've sprayed it all over Unit 1, so Shinji can't get in. And eventually when everything goes wrong and Asuka gets killed and he hears the screaming and everything over the radio, he cries out and says that he can't do anything.
Right.
Like he can't even do the one thing that he can do,
which is
because
pilot,
Unit 1 is locked up. And we get that like his mother kicks into action, breaks free, and he gets in.
Well, sort of a parallel to like the very first episode. Remember where Shinji's first introduced to Unit 1, and then of its own volition, Unit 1 moves its hand
to protect him from debris.
That's right.
Yeah.
Sort of a parallel to that, where the unit on its own breaks through the Bakelite stuff, reunites with old Shinji, says, crawl into me, young man, we have work to do.
Yeah, get in, my boy.
Yeah, that's right. Saddle up. No, it was a cool moment.
Yeah, he goes out.
Name a more iconic duo, dude. Shinji and Unit 1.
Shinji and his mum.
And Unit 1. Shinji and his mum. Let's not get into that.
Unit mum.
Oh, man. It was all there. Should have known.
Yeah, so he gets in, he goes out. Asuka, he unfortunately sees her die.
Oh, well.
And then we have a little bit of stuff with Rei and Gendo before it all really kicks off.
Yeah, because all this shit is going down, and then Gendo says, Fuyutsuki, you handled it. Right in the middle of, like, the biggest crisis to hit nerve.
Fuyutsuki knows what's up.
Well, he's
true. The confidant. He's like,
but what
I know what you're doing. Give my regards to Yui when you see her.
That's true. He does say that, yeah. What must everyone else be thinking? Like, Gendo just casually gets up, doesn't even use his little elevator into the floor.
No, he
wants to go old school on this one. He wants to do it
right. No one would be watching.
No, it's true. They're all sort of preoccupied.
Impact, then what's the point?
Yeah. Gendo just gets up and says, well,
there was impact, but not the one that he was hoping for. No, that's right,
yeah. Anyway, shit's going down. He's like, yeah, well, it's been good, guys, but I got a dead wife to resurrect.
Yeah, so him and Rei, they go down to the chamber with Lilith.
Yep.
And he's like, well, it's time. This is what we were here for. He tries to bond with Rei using the Adam's embryo in his hand.
Which is in his hand, yeah.
And he, I mean, like, in what feels like a pretty obvious symbolism, he takes an embryo that's in his hand.
And
he puts it into Rei and then moves it down to her uterus.
Right.
And, like, from there, it all starts to go a little bit unexpected.
Yeah.
Well, before that, they're confronted by Ritsuko, who is waiting for them there.
That's right. Yeah.
And she's got the gun pointed at him.
She's got a bomb ready.
Yep.
That she hacked in earlier. Yep. That she installed.
Yeah. And oh yeah, Casper betrays her.
Gotta hate that.
Because of, Oh
yeah, so what? So Gendo, yeah. Do you think Gendo found the hack that she did and sort of reversed it, or?
No, like, because it's that Casper, like, as betrayed her.
Yeah, right, it was, yeah,
that her, the woman part of her mother betrayed her for, well, I mean, Ritsuko thinks out loud, like, did you seriously just betray your own daughter for the man who's, like, played both of us?
Right.
And in her confusion and dismay with what's happened, Gendo pulls the gun on her.
Right.
And he's sort of like, what does she ask him? I forget what Ritsuko says, but Gendo's response is like, we see his mouth move, but we don't hear the words.
That's right.
And I think my interpretation of that is that he said that, like, something to the effect of, I did love you. She gets shot, falls into the LCL, and then they have the whole thing with Rei and Gendo. Rei reveals that she's no longer Gendo's puppet.
No, that's right.
In this whole thing.
Yeah.
She takes Gendo's hand with Adam infused into it.
Yeah.
And she initiates the sort of bond between Lilith and herself.
Right.
Lilith takes on a sort of like giant form of
Rei.
Rei.
Yeah, right.
And from there, that whole sort of like...
From there, yeah, go on. Try to explain what happens next.
Well, it's Third Impact. Third Impact is unavoidable at this point.
Yeah.
She becomes a giant version. Seele realizes what's happening.
Yeah.
So they activate the Ava series to initiate human instrumentality as well.
Yeah.
They pick up Unit 1. Shinji is like unconsolable after seeing everything that's going on. and they start piercing Unit 1 with the Lancers.
Yeah.
And they basically all start initiating human instrumentality, which involves first breaking down Shinji's barrier.
Yep.
And the giant ray goes to Shinji and temporarily sort of like takes on the form of both Kaoru and Lilith.
Yes.
Ray.
Yeah.
Ray
Kaoru and Ray.
Lilith. And
the
Shinji's
the two people
Kaoru,
he loved.
were you here all along?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he lets Kaoru in, and from there, it all kicks off.
It all kicks off.
They take Unit 1 into themselves.
Yes, that's right.
They retrieve the black egg, which is like the geofront.
Yeah, right.
They retrieve it from Earth, and Ray, as Ray/Lilith, appears to everyone as someone they would let their barriers down to.
Exactly.
So we sort of see who. I think the big indicator of this is like the fact that Glasses, who we find out like he had a thing for Masato.
Yeah, because we see
Ray
Masato.
is like crawling along the table to him.
Yeah,
but then turns into Masato. Yeah, and like like sort of passionately kisses him. He explodes into orange goo.
Right. We see the lieutenant. Was it Ibuki or something? She just sees Ritsuko. Yeah. She
was infatuated with sort of Ritsuko.
Yeah. If
Yutsuki sees Yui, obviously.
Yeah. Right. Pen sees Kanabir. Isn't it funny how Kaji is like the Qui-Gon Jinn of the series all of a sudden? You know, like Masato, you know, she dies.
Yeah, everyone
and like
references this character.
Yeah,
who's
the
like
Kaji is
mostly absent from the major events.
Yeah, but like he's now like this wise sort of, you know, far off figure.
Did I do the right thing, Kaji?
Yeah, far off, you know, being dead will do that. But yeah, he's, you know, and Shinji references him, you know, he's sort of, I don't know, it's become like a mystical sort of figure like, now, you know?
With this ending, Masato and everyone else who died before Third Impact kicked off can't come back.
Oh, that's right.
Unless, of course, Shinji had recreated the world with them back. But it's sort of implied by the ending that everyone who is alive can, if they can find their form in their hearts, they can bring themselves back.
Yes. Well,
and that everyone has the potential to do so. So everyone who is who was Third Impact should be able to.
Yeah. Well, part of the thing about human instrumentality is that, you know, the recognition that, yes, there's a Shinji, how Shinji sees himself, but there's also a Shinji that exists in Masato's mind, one that exists in Ritsuko's mind. So even though Masato, for example, is dead, there is still a Masato inside Shinji's mind.
Right.
So maybe the people, maybe, I'm just saying, dead, alive, maybe human instrumentality, it doesn't matter.
That, like, once everyone's been brought into like a singular being,
yes, you're there
the
in
memory
the
of you.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Is enough.
That's what I mean. You're there in the primordial, you know, collective consciousness.
Well, that's a big part
everything.
of it. Is like realizing that reality and truth. Yeah. Like that there is a reality and a truth inside everyo's heart, and that, you know, like that sort of rejection of it, you know, causes a lot of the pain.
If Ray/Lilith appeared to you as the person most likely to break down your AT field, would it be Ramiel?
Yeah, Ramiel would
it be. Yeah,
no, it would be Pen.
It would be Pen.
Yeah, I feel like this whole sequence with Third Impact and sort of instrumentality is very much like from episode 25 and 26. We saw Third Impact and instrumentality through Shinji's eyes.
Yeah, now we see everyone.
We see the global sort of impact, how that affected everyone.
Yeah.
And in a way, I don't think we sort of see as much of how everyone as like a singular being reacts to instrumentality.
It's more
like
with
the whole like sort of trial thing.
Yes,
It doesn't repeat it.
No.
Instead, it sort of gives us a little bit more of like Shinji. The way he's reacting to Third Impact, the way he's reacting to everyone being force evolutioned together.
Right, yeah.
You know, like, and we see that through a very negative lens.
Right.
Whereas in the show, I feel like we mostly saw alternate realities, like the entire one where Shinji's just like the protagonist of a harem. Show.
And that was spun in a negative light.
Yeah.
You know, I was saying, this technically is like a really good life for you, you know, reality that you've always said you sort of wanted, but it's actually not so good. And that, the ending of the series was a realization that Shinji, you know, it doesn't really matter. Reality, it's all, you know,
his own truth
exactly
is like, you know, like,
and that's when he gets
his own happiness,
and that's when he gets the
within
applause.
himself.
that's when he gets the applause. But this one, it's not. Yes, it's big. It's powerful. The imagery. But it's not in the most positive light. And I was just thinking when we were talking about this,
well, it's mostly the negative, like the way he perceives everyone else.
Right.
His sort of insistence that everyone else needs to be nice to him.
Right.
Like he tried to be good. He tried to be someone that people would like, but no one will be nice to him.
Yeah,
please help him.
Yeah, because he hears all the people saying, you're, all those negative things. I can't remember them, but he hears all the women in his life and saying horrible things about him.
Pushed away.
Yeah.
And we have that sequence where him and Asuka are in the room, and he's like, "You got to help me, Asuka," and she's like, there you go again. Yeah. Like, you don't need me. You don't want me. No. You just want somebody.
Right.
You want anybody to be nice to you and help you.
Which is true. I mean,
you've got to do it yourself, and stop latching on to people. And then that turns into she's pursuing him around the room, pushing him.
Yeah.
And we do see that Shinji break, that she breaks through, I guess, the nice guy, pathetic facade that he has, and he ends up strangling her.
Yeah.
And then she, after the whole, she pushes him over, and he hits the coffee machine and everything, and she's looking over him like pathetic.
Yeah, right.
And then he strangles her, and then we progress further through Instrumentality.
Yep.
We have him being consumed with this idea that everyone's going to leave him, that they all
abandon
hate him.
Yeah, yes.
That they don't love him like that, and all sorts of self sort of deprecation, this flagellating himself over how disgusting and pathetic and useless he is, and then finally it all wraps around, and he sort of starts to have that realization, which is probably not as sort of I feel like the positive sides of his journey aren't as fleshed out.
No, definitely not.
As the End of Evangelion really doubles down on the hate, and I think that comes a lot from the circumstances under which
it was made, right?
End of Evangelion was made, and the reason it was made. Is that there's a little bit more of a negative spin on that, especially when there's images of hate mail that was sent to.
That was in. I mean, we talk about instrumentality, reality breaking down, and realities being what you make of it, and all that sort of thing, relative. They really go into that meta stuff in this one, where they show real live action footage of people in a movie theater and walking around, and like you say, images of hate mail that the creators received after the end of the series. So it's like Instrumentality, but fuck you version.
And then finally Rei and Kaoru appear. And they're basically we're the hope that lives in you, that people can find each other, and that they can exist in a world where hurt is inevitable, but the hope that people can connect, and that sort of pushes him onto a path to rebuilding the world, and bringing it back, and it ends, that whole sequence sort of ends with his mother asking what his wish is, and that whether he'll be okay this time round, and him saying it's possible that I'll get hurt again, and I don't really know. I'll still ask, why me? Why am I here? But that's just part of the deal, and he emerges from what they describe as the primordial soup. The LCL of all the people of the earth. He's the first person to bring himself back.
That's right. Wow.
The giant Rei / Lilith has deteriorated and released everyone's souls again.
That's right. They're like one big school of fish looking thing.
And he's back and he's now on the beach, and Asuka's there with him. And he. This is why it's funny, because it's the whole instrumentality process is still framed very much like the show. As a positive, but Shinji finds himself, finds the strength to push through all of the shit that he's going through.
Yes, that is the common thread. Yes, Shinji comes out stronger and more aware of what he has to do, and definitely more firm in his purpose, beliefs, all that sort of thing. More clarity. More
there's
settled.
Just this slightly weird sort of downbeat note that it all ends on, though. So he wakes up, he finds, first he sees Rei standing on the water, and then she disappears, and he rolls over and
which
he
is
sees
her thing now,
Asuka, and he gets up and he strangles her, and she wakes up and just reacts to him, and
you're an idiot.
She,
you're
she
disgusting.
touches him on the cheek, sort of compassionately, and just says, how disgusting. And then, he cries and his tears fall on her face, and then she says, how disgusting, and it's it feels like this, he went through this whole whole journey of self-realization and sort of like moving through how he viewed himself and this idea that he can do it, that he can move forward.
Right.
And then with End of Evangelion, we don't see the aftermath in the show.
No.
We just see the congratulations and like, you did it. You worked out like the fact that like it's all on you. Like you can work your way through this sort of thing, and that the only one who can make a change within you is you.
Yeah.
And then this one, he comes back and he like almost falls into bad habits.
Yeah.
Straight away. He doesn't strangle Asuka to death.
No, well, that's good.
But we're still left with a somewhat ambiguous ending as to when will the other people draw themselves back into reality.
I know it's
what does a world post Third Impact look like?
Right.
And will Shinji, you know, like he's had this huge life-changing moment, these huge revelations to himself, and like in a moment he sort of almost undid a lot of it.
You know what's weird when you really think about it? Like, you know, the Sele guys won, right?
For a moment,
you know, they then got zipped off into the primordial soup like everyone else. But I'm just thinking, like, the Sele dudes, they sort of got what they wanted, right? They wanted human instrumentality.
Well, they got a taste of it. They're not going to have immortality through
no, that's right,
being a singular being anymore.
That's right. That was their angle. That is what they were wanting.
Yeah, a lot of what Shinji, his journey had basically undone their work and started again.
Yeah, it's true. And Gendo, I mean, he got to see Yui, but like what?
Yeah, he was reunited
for a little bit.
For a moment.
For a moment. Was it worth it, Gendo?
It's one of those things where like we're shown a series of metaphorical images with no sense of time passing. Like how long was humanity one?
Right.
Was it an eternity?
Yeah.
It's all sort of like it's one of those things where I like the ending of the show, how it sort of leaves us with this like the most important thing is that Shinji has found the will to live.
Yeah, yes.
I guess you could say.
Yeah, it's true.
And this one, in a way, shows maybe just a little bit too much.
Yeah, right.
Because now we're left with questions like, what is to happen to the world now? Whereas those questions were sort of like, I don't know, they didn't really...
No, well,
they didn't really come in for me when I rewatched the series with you.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, because like the journey is over. Like, well, the journey as far as we need to see it is over. Well, in that Shinji has the will.
Well, that's what
now.
I meant. At the end of the series, it was like, if there are any questions to be asked, it was, okay, Shinji's, got this will to live. What happens next for Shinji? Where does he go from here? But now, like you say, at the end of this film, it's what happens to the world from here.
Yeah.
And that's a whole lot less clear.
And in a way, I feel like the series, what
is the world?
Is like it's irrelevant,
right?
Because the show is about Shinji, whereas now the movie is like because the movie tries to be a little bit more clearer in what's happening in reality and what's happening within Shinji's sort of experiences during Third Impact. When it does come back to reality at the end, it's like like what happens now, and it's just going to be the byproduct of mixing both back together.
Imagine, I can't remember what a footnote to end on.
I feel like for many, End of Evangelion forms that complete package.
Yeah.
That even though I think the series can stand perfectly fine on its own, and that for me, rewatching it with you, I definitely felt that sense of closure. Okay. That the journey that we were on with the series, Shinji. Everything that he'd been through his life, his disconnection from his father, his sort of withdrawal from other people, his fear of connecting, that at the end of that series, that had been addressed. Right. And even though we never saw what happened next, we were put into a place where we felt that like he had it in him now to live.
The word choice you just made was very apt because you said not answered, but addressed.
Yeah. And then this movie as a sort of companion piece to the series is like it gives you that big exciting end to a series which has been marked by like beautiful set pieces, exciting imagery and like very unusual imagery at times.
Oh man.
Like the unorthodox approach to the angel design.
Yeah.
Like this film in a way is like it's so important to finish the series with something like this.
Yes, right.
But like I don't think that diminishes the series ending, and I don't think it replaces it. I truly think like it's a beautiful companion piece. But like if you can watch End of Evangelion, absolutely watch End of Evangelion.
Yeah, I think.
But I feel like if you never see it and you only see the series, I think the series does such a great job of being its own self-contained thing. That this movie just adds to it in a really beautiful way in places.
Yes, I think definitely watch the series. If you finish there, fine. If you watch the series, then watch End of Evangelion, even better.
Do not skip episodes 25 and 26.
The one thing to not do would be to skip 25 and 26 thinking that this film replaces them. No, I definitely like that. I've seen both. And like you say, the imagery, let's just very quickly talk about that whole sequence at the end with Rey is now at the size of the world and all this stuff. And it seemed like a really long sequence of it, just all the writers and the animators trying to think of all the combinations of mindfuckery they can do. Okay, now let's put eyes on this. Let's put crosses coming out of this, but then we have the eyes coming in, and then but now there's little rays coming out.
Yeah.
Okay, and then crosses coming out of the little rays, and the rays are swimming around the world. That the world is the egg, which is Rey, and all this is. And then at the end, Unit 1 just pops out and says, "Man, shit, what I miss."
Yeah,
because the Unit 1 was in there the whole time.
That was a pretty big discussion about End of Evangelion.
Yeah, man.
There is still more Neon Genesis to discuss. What? So if you're wondering what we're going to do from this point onwards, next week we'll be talking about broad sort of recap about the sort of meta narrative around the show.
Behind the scenes,
a little bit about like Anno, the process of how the show was made, and some of the numerous merchandise that has been created.
Be interesting, because you've told me, don't Google anything, don't look up stuff, don't spoil it for yourself, which I've not been, but now that we're sort of approaching the end, I want to sort of get into this whole background sort of stuff.
We'll be back next week with more Neon Genesis. But for now, if you want to find me on Twitter, I'm at It's Got Stealth, and old Jen.
Dude, call me Ritsuko's lifeless body, man, because I'm just floating away in the river of LCL.
Thanks for listening.